Hey there, Mr. Bob Smith's class up in Marinette. I'm Mark Scheffler, running for the U.S. House of Representatives. I was in town last week doing a really cool town hall called The Democrat in the Lion's Den. It's where I come into high schools like Marinette High School, and people show up and just ask me questions. And off the top of my head, I have to give good answers. And so I've got the sheet right in front of me here of the questions that a lot of you have asked, people that weren't able to attend. And I haven't looked at the questions yet, so I thought this would actually be kind of a neat little virtual town hall, and I'll just take all your questions. So here we go, right down from the top. So Haley asks, what is the best way for citizens to hold their government accountable? The most straightforward way is to simply vote, show up at the polls. Be a poll worker. That's another way that you can do it as well. But boy, voting is something that I think a lot of us do take for granted. And it wasn't something that everyone had access to. When the country was first created, it was just a small group of people that was able to vote. And then we extended that point in the 1920s. Women got the chance to vote. And then it wasn't until the 1960s that black folks in America got to vote as well. So it's something that we shouldn't take for granted, and we should be doing everything possible to make it as easy to vote as possible. Okay, Bailey asks, why do you want to serve in Congress? Well, right now we don't really have a Congress. Unfortunately, there is a branch of government that really doesn't do a whole heck of a lot. They've only passed 2 or 3 bills in the last year. And so one reason I want to go to Congress is to kind of reclaim that entire branch of government. I think it's just really important that we have 3 distinctly different branches of government. And one of the things I'm doing differently is, even though I'm running as a Democrat, I'm pledging to serve as an independent in the House. And what that means is that I can fulfill my loyalty to the Constitution and to the House of Representatives by putting that branch of government first and putting the voters who put me there in charge. So that's really important. Sophia asks, what role should the federal government play in protecting students from gun violence? I think the federal government has an important role to play. It's the Second Amendment to the U.S. Constitution that actually gives people the right to keep and bear arms. But what a lot of people forget is that there are 4 really important words that come first in that amendment, and that is a well-regulated militia. My family has been touched by gun violence. Back in 2019, I had a cousin who was murdered by her husband in rural Marathon County, actually rural Lincoln County, just over that county line. And for him, it was a healthcare issue. So he was on medication for Parkinson's. There was a healthcare provider that prescribed some medications, and that medications caused hallucinations. And I think there's an important role that the federal government can have, not so much in looking at taking away people's guns, but making sure that people who are unwell don't have access to firearms. That's one of my top priority lists because it was something that touched my family so profoundly not that long ago. Blake asks, are you planning to address the increase in depression cases among the students today? Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I'm proposing is something I call Citizen Care Core. It's universal primary health care coverage for every single American from birth through Medicare age, which currently is age 65. That would include annual wellness checks, and a part of that would be mental health screenings. That's something that's so critically important, and it's important not only for adults, but it's especially important for youth as well. So making sure that everyone has access to mental health screenings and the care that they may need just to live happy, healthy, and productive lives. Great question. Maya says, what goals do you have for Marinette? Well, one of the biggest, there's 2 things in Marinette County. So it's money that comes into the county for agriculture. One of the things I want to do is to help restore the foreign markets that have been really damaged by the current administration's tariff policies. Most of the money in Marinette County from agriculture comes from China, Canada, and Mexico. And we really need to work hard to restore those relationships so that farmers can send their grains and beef and milk overseas as well. The second biggest source of revenue, of course, is Marinette Marine. That's the shipping industry. There was a large contract that was just canceled by the Trump administration. I want to expand shipbuilding, and I think Marinette Marine is a great example of just one of the great shipyards here on the Great Lakes. and not just for military use, but also for research and exploration and for relieving human suffering too. There's a lot that we can do, and I think there are a lot of different kinds of ships that we should be building. All right, Megan asks, how are you going to help students and families that are struggling with the rising costs of groceries? Obviously, it's a huge issue with the system that we have, the economic system. Inflation is a part of it, but inflation is not supposed to be nearly as high as it's been. The thing that I want to do is I want to make sure that we're keeping as much money as possible inside of the pockets of American families. And so I'm recommending and fighting for the largest tax cut for Wisconsin farms and individuals, families, and small businesses in American history. For an average family of four, that would keep another $3,000 per year in that family's pocketbook, and that would certainly help with some affordability issues. Nora asks, how do we fix school funding for Wisconsin? Great question. Most school funding in Wisconsin actually comes at the state level, not at the federal level, but the U.S. Department of Education certainly has a big role to play in technical school education, and then also outside of Marinette County for post-secondary. So that would be college and two-year college campuses as well. So there's a lot that we can do. A big piece of that, though, is tax reform. Again, keeping more money into the hands of people that will spend it, and especially spend it in the local communities. And education is a big piece of that. Lacey asks, if elected, what steps would you take to put our district on more firm financial footing? I don't know what the numbers are in Marinette, but in Oconto County, I did a town hall there a week before Marinette, and I was shocked to find out that Marinette High School Oconto High School rather, is down about 200 students over the past 10 years. That's amazing, and that's something where it certainly hurts the funding mechanism that we have as well. Putting Marinette on a more firm financial footing, again, is keeping money into the pockets of local families so that they would have more money to spend on education, keeping more money inside of local communities. You'll hear me talk a lot about economic sustainability, and keeping money inside of local communities is a big part of that. Bianca asks, what are your plans in handling the issues of PFAS and ensuring safe drinking water for everyone? Water knows no boundaries. It doesn't know when it crosses the Michigan state line. It certainly doesn't know when it crosses the Canadian line as well. And there is a federal treaty called the Great Lakes Compact between us and Canada. From the federal level, water is absolutely a critical resource that we need to protect. And we need to protect soil, and we need to protect air quality as well. Those are all things that you hear me talk about from environmental sustainability. PFAS, of course, was a tremendous mistake. It was a great example of corporations putting products into the environment before they're adequately tested. We definitely need to make sure that any products and any chemicals that are put into our agriculture, for example, or our manufacturing, for example, or in any sort of other example, we need to make sure that they're safe before they enter our water supply. Emma asks, how do you plan on addressing the hard drug problem in our country? This isn't an immigration issue, and this should be the exact thing that ICE is doing. So we have laws on the books, and we have laws mainly to prevent human trafficking and to to end drug trafficking. So to protect people from illicit drugs coming into our country. I had a coworker a few years ago. Her son died from an illicit fentanyl overdose. He was 21 or 22 years old. So this is definitely an issue that hurts. This is exactly what ICE should be doing. ICE should be going after criminals. ICE should be going after human traffickers. They should be going after drug traffickers, not taking people who are not criminals out of our country. So there is a role. The more that they do demonizing immigrants who contribute so much to this country, the less they have time and resources to do when talking about drugs. So it's absolutely an issue, and we need to spend more time with ICE working on illegal human trafficking and drug trafficking. BNN asks, what are your plans regarding ICE and the protection of members in our community? ICE is not a new thing. It's been around for many, many administrations. Statistics show us that, under the Clinton administration, more than 10 million undocumented workers were sent back. The same thing under George W. Bush, same thing under Barack Obama, same thing under Trump 1 and under Biden as well. So it's nothing new. What's new is that we have incentives for people to be hired without being adequately trained. We also deploy people, and we've been increasing that police force substantially. We need to regain control of immigration and customs enforcement. As I mentioned a second ago, they need to be working on drug interdiction. They need to be doing working on human trafficking. And we need to go back to responsible policing, making sure that not only are people in our community safe, but the human beings, the immigrants who are here contributing so much to our economy and to the American tapestry are protected as well. Piper asks, what's the most interesting part of your job? Boy, I mean, running a campaign for Congress is an incredible honor. And the people that I interact with, both live and virtually, as we're doing today, those are the kinds of the things that I think I just find really, really interesting. It's also really interesting to me that there are 350 million people in the country and only two political parties. So we somehow expect that this broad diversity of opinion and thought and experience could somehow fit into two parties. I find that to be really interesting as well. Peyton asks, what's the most difficult part of your job? I think the most difficult part of the job really is just the time that we spend trying to communicate with one another. It's not always easy. We did a text campaign into Marinette County, and 95% of the people who received texts just didn't engage at all. And those that did, that engagement can be really positive, but also sometimes it can be somewhat poisonous. That's just not me. That's not where my politics come from. So moving beyond the poison, moving beyond the partisanship, that's a tough issue, but I'm willing to step up and help to do that. John Sebastian asks, how could we improve our funding for schools without raising taxes? Government is in the business of raising taxes. Government is in the business of reallocating public dollars and using those to the things that we support. One of the things that I think is interesting is if we asked voters, and especially we asked young people, where would you like to see our tax dollars go? Probably wouldn't be going towards military necessarily. Probably wouldn't be going towards ICE. It would probably be going towards social programs, and a big piece of that is education. I mean, we have some amazing schools, some amazing teachers. We definitely need to pay them well. We need to make sure that they are secure. If we take care of teachers, they'll take care of the rest of us. Trey asks, what ways can you make school a safer place? Well, a big piece of that, too, comes back to gun safety. That is an issue, again, that I had firsthand experience with. Also, when I was about your age, one of my cousins took his own life as well, not at school, at home. But it was a result of a relationship that had gone south for him. I mean, I know how hard it is growing up in small towns and growing up in rural Wisconsin. I know how hard it is. Keeping us safe is something that's so critically important. And a big piece of that is healthcare. And that comes back to what I said a moment ago at the top of this about supporting mental health care as well. It's keeping unwell people away from firearms that can do so much damage in such a short period of time. Chloe asks, how will you support local job creations and infrastructure projects? Well, I'm a huge fan of modernizing our highways, modernizing our transportation grid. Infrastructure is certainly a big piece of that. I mean, bridges, railway lines. Marinette has a nice airport. Oconto has a really nice airport as well. I mean, these are the kinds of shared infrastructure, just like a school. I mean, a school is a great example of shared infrastructure, making sure that we continue to invest in them, making sure that we maintain them. That's absolutely important. And that's a big piece of what we should be doing with tax dollars. We should be building things that we can all share and share alike. Braden asks, what is one message you want to send as a politician? Well, that's very straightforward, and that is that we have a whole lot more in common than divides us. We're just in, a point in time when there are real economic reasons for media and social media to generate clickbait. It's the kind of thing that keeps people coming back, and the more people come back to CNN or Fox News or MS Now or any of the mainstream media, the more money they make. I mean, corporate media is in the business of dividing us. We have so much more in common than we have that separates us. Wyatt asks, why did you want to be a politician? Well, Politician was never top of my list. I was a teacher first. I taught 3 years down in the public schools in Kenosha, and then I worked in financial services, working for families. I see being a politician as being, part of public service, and that's what I think people should be doing. They shouldn't be going into politics as a career. They should be going into public service as something that's important to do for a while and to share expertise. Um, I've done a lot in my life. I've experienced a whole lot in my life, and I want to share that. And if the people of the district elect me, I will answer that call and I will serve. What's your number one goal for America as a whole? It's prosperity. It's making sure that everyone has access to opportunity, that everyone has access to good food and safe cars and quality education and quality health care. It's just about living good lives, and it's about treating each other with respect, being part of a community, being part of a society that we can all be proud of. That's something super important to me. Omar asks one of the most important questions, and this is something that divides a whole lot of people, so I'm glad he asked it. Does pineapple belong on pizza? The debate over whether, is it an onion? Is it a fruit? What is that thing that's on our pizza? I think we need to spend a lot more time and effort figuring out this important question. Personally, I like pizza if I ever visit Hawaii. Otherwise, nope. It's Italian sausage, it's pepperoni, mushrooms, and maybe a little bit of spinach just for some color. That's it. All right, last question. Liam asks, if elected, how do you plan on lowering the high costs of healthcare and health insurance for Wisconsin residents? I'm proposing something called Citizen Care Corps. It's universal primary healthcare coverage for every American citizen from birth through age 65. Companies spend a whole lot of money on healthcare. And by having universal healthcare coverage that is accessible by everyone in society, it actually reduces healthcare premiums. There's an old saying that I love: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. That means that if we take care of things early on, we can actually do a whole lot more good for preventing major illness down the road. So, hey, Marinette High School, these were fantastic questions. Thank you so much for the questions. I hope I'm helpful. And if you see me driving around Marinette next time, be sure and give a wave. Thank you.